Hi, and welcome back everyone to the True Vine Connection channel. On today, we have a project that we're going to work on using the Tumbling Tower game blocks that I found at my local Dollar General, but they also sell these at Dollar Tree. And these are like the Jenga blocks, and they're wood blocks. And we are going to paint them, and we are going to add, after we've painted them, we're going to add letters and numbers. And you can use these like regular alphabet and number blocks for children, or you can still use them to play the Jenga Tumbling Tower game. Or you can also, after you've painted them, you can add words to each block, and you can use them to play other games where you can help your children form sentences or phrases. And this is not just for children. Adults might find it to be fun as well. So the whole purpose of this is to show how we can use inexpensive things that we find at the dollar store or wherever, and things that were meant for one purpose, and then use them in other purposes. And you can also, there's another thing that we're going to do with a set of these blocks, and we're going to do that in a different video. But one other thing that you can do with these, once you have painted them, you can use them in your crafting. Some people use blocks and different things as decorations that they add to like their journals and different things. You might be going through a lot to drill holes in it to use them as a tag or something. But there are lots of different ideas. Use your imagination and you can find a lot of things to do with them. Okay, obviously you're going to have to go get you a box of these blocks. Like I said, they sell them at Dollar Tree. I see them all the time at Dollar Trees, and I see them in the toy department, toy aisle at Dollar General. They also have them in bigger sizes than these, and these blocks are probably about 2 inches long or wide, and maybe a half an inch in thickness. So that's that. And you're going to need some acrylic paints. I painted these with acrylic paints. You could use markers if you wanted to. However, I would use a permanent marker because these washable markers might bleed, and because we're dealing with wood, which I can tell you, when you do use the acrylic paint, depending on the thickness of the paint, you might want to put 2 coats on. It could be the thickness or the color of the paint. I used the Deco Arts acrylic paints on these. Like I said, you could use markers, but I would probably use permanent markers to do it, to color these with. And you will definitely need a permanent marker to add your letters or words or numbers, whatever you decide to put on there. Paintbrushes, and you need something to seal your paint after you've finished. Now, let me say this. Even with the numbers, I wrote them on, the letters and the numbers, I wrote them on with a pencil, and then I went back over them with a Sharpie. Some of them I did it with the Sharpie, and some of them I used a fine paintbrush and went over them with black paint. So there's another option. Okay, as I said before, you're going to need something to seal it with. Mod Podge is good, or whatever it is that you use to seal your art with. Here's the thing. You need to make sure that we use our trick that we said that we have learned about, using holding spray, and spray your blocks after you've sealed them, because you don't want them to be tacky and start sticking together. And you want to make sure that everything is completely dry before you start using them or handling them or storing them. Another thing, I would not store them back in the box that they came in. I would probably leave them out in something so that they can not touch or be just squished together, or store them maybe like in a metal can or something until you know that they are completely dry and won't stick together. Okay, now we are going to get started, so I'm going to move some of this stuff out the way and be right back. Okay, so to be fair and to do a little bit of experimenting, I am going to color one of these wood blocks with a permanent marker, one with a washable marker, and the last one, thought about, you might not want to use acrylic paint. Maybe you might want to use watercolor. So we're going to use watercolor on one, and we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. We already know that the acrylic paint will cover it. You might have to use 2 coats depending on the thickness. But let's try first with, let's do the washable marker. And if this can get a little messy, so if you don't want your hands to get messy, then you might want to use some tweezers. But let's get to going. So we're going to use this purple washable marker, and let's see. And because they're wood, there might be a little bit of roughness to them. I did have some that were, most of them, even though this was cheap, $1, the blocks were in pretty good shape. Didn't have to do any sanding to get any splinters or anything off of them. Now this side here obviously has a lot of texture to it, so you can kind of see that texture there. But we're going to go over it with this, taking a little bit work here, and see how this does. Okay. Now, I'm going to finish this block with this marker, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do our watercolor. Okay, so we are back and we have finished our washable marker block. I would say this, I don't recommend using markers that you want to use in some of your other art or anything like that, because it is a little harsh on the tip of your marker. So if you're going to do this, I would just get me some markers that use some old ones, or something that you don't really care that much about. The absorption of color, again, is wood, so it's porous, so yeah, you'll have to go over it a few times. Okay, let's do our watercolor one, and let's see what color we want to use here. Let's go with this nice bright orange here, and get, okay, really have to get a lot of paint on here. Alrighty, we're going to keep working this till we get us a good, we might have to put a couple of coats on here with this watercolor, because again, it's wood, and wood is porous, especially when it hasn't been sealed. And I think if this block had already been sealed, the wood had been sealed, watercolor probably, color paints probably would not work that well on it, probably would not adhere. So let me see if we can work this up. I want to thank all of my new subscribers. I want to thank everyone who has watched my videos, and those who have subscribed. I really do appreciate you. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs right now to Evan A, Patrice D, Victor D, LaDonna E, and Gail W, and also Big Trouble. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Also to Ricky F, I appreciate you guys. You are now part of the True Vine Connection family. Some of you are blood family, and now you are part of the True Vine Connection family. So I love you all, and I appreciate you. Alrighty, I think we're going to add one more coat, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have finished painting our block with the watercolor, and I've put several coats on them and on it, and we're going to let it dry. It's still, the saturation isn't as good as with the acrylic paint, but we'll know even more once we let it dry. Now, once it dries, you might be able to add a couple of more coats, so maybe letting it soak in and dry and then add another coat might work to help build the color up, because you can still see, not that it's a problem looking at the wood grain, but if you don't want to see the wood grain as much. So we're going to put this to the side and let it dry. And our final block, we're back again with this orange, but okay, we're going to use this a permanent marker to see how it does. And again, if you're going to use a marker, use ones that you're not going to be upset if the end of it is damaged, because you're coloring over wood. So and you're trying to build color. The permanent marker seems to be doing pretty good, so we will see. I'll try to go this way with it. Alrighty. Do this other end. And we will finish this one and then we'll be back. Okay, so I just finished the permanent marker block, and I think that the saturation was pretty good, so I like that. One thing I did find, I guess like anytime you're dealing with wood, to go with the grain. Don't paint or color against the grain of the wood, to go with the grain. So if you can find which direction, obviously these are probably all rough sawn, so if you can find the direction that the grain of the wood is going in, then you'll get the least amount of resistance with whatever it is that you're using, and the likelihood that the color will saturate better. Now, I put these down in the order of what I think is the best way for me that I found to method, or what type of paint or color to use. I like acrylic paint the best, then the permanent marker, then, and I've added a second coat of the washable marker, second or third coat. Again, going with the grain of the wood. So that would be my third choice. My least favorite is the watercolor, but you know, it's okay. So now the next thing that we need to do while we are letting these completely dry, we are going to add our letters and numbers to them. Okay, so now we're ready to add our numbers, letters, words, whatever it is that we want to add on. What I also forgot to mention to you is that there are only 36 blocks in each box of, well, at least in this particular set that I got, it's only 36 blocks in it. So if you're going to do your alphabet, you have enough for that, 26 letters. If you're going to do numbers, which, you know, because they're multi-sided, this is something that I have decided to do. I'm doing my entire alphabet, and then I'm doing numbers. Obviously, I can go up to, I would probably go up to 30 in my numbers. And then some of the blocks on the opposite side, because you can flip them over and add other things. I'll put mathematical signs, plus, minus, divide, things like that. Also, you can add, if you're doing alphabet, you might want to add, because you might want to make words, to, you know, put blocks together to make words and all of that. So you can add punctuation and a lot of different things. Okay, so first of all, let's take a pencil and write what on our block, because you want to make sure that whatever it is that you want to put on your block is able to fit on the block. So first of all, especially if it's going to be a word, you need to make sure that all fit. In my numbers, I stopped at number 12, so we're going to put 13 on this block here, and okay, and on this block, we're going to add, and with my letters, I stopped at M, so I'm going to put N on this one. It's a little rough, but okay. And on this one, I'll add O. Now, can't really see that on here, which you might want to use a different color on your darker ones, or just not use darker colors. Okay, now we're going to take our Sharpie and we're going to add our, go over them. And then one of them, I'm going to use our black paint so you can see what that looks like. This is the letter O. And I should have used a lighter color, but I wanted to demonstrate how the darker marker might work. So we're going to do our letter in black paint, and we'll be back. Okay, so now we have our numbers and letters added. This N didn't turn out exactly the way that I wanted to, but I just added some numbers and letters. I looked at the darker colored ones and using either gold or silver or some other color, white, another color that would show up better against something dark, I decided to go with gold marker against this purple. It's permanent markers. Then I had some blocks that I had already done that they are gold, black, white, silver, and these are metallics. This white is just regular white, and black shows up good against that. But I did have some that I had painted black, and I went over it with a gold metallic marker. So you can do that. Obviously, you want to seal it with Mod Podge, and you can either use a matte or a glossy Mod Podge and seal them. And we're going to quickly do one of those. Again, I always use the brushes that come with the children's watercolor paint sets to apply my Mod Podge so that I don't mess up any of my other brushes. Not that I paid a lot of money for those, but I don't want those messed up. And you can add 1 or 2 coats and then let it dry. And you know, you can paint the top, the sides, and all the sides. And once that's dry, then you can do the bottom portion. Let it dry. Also, let me stick that in some water. Don't forget, once they have dried, to apply your spray with your holding spray, can holding spray, to make sure that they're not tacky or sticky in any way before you store them together. And if you're working in you know, someplace that's very high humidity, I would place them in front of a fan or something to help make sure that they're dry and keep them separated so they don't stick together. Test them out to see before you store them if they're going to stick together. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that we learned something, that you had some fun, and that you will try this. And until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and stay connected to the True Vine Connection channel. Also, if you would like to become part of the True Vine Connection family, please don't forget to subscribe. Go down to the comment section and comment "I'm connected," and we'll add your name to our True Vine Connection family tree. This is just a small example of the bigger one that we have on our wall. We'll put your name on a Post-it note and add your name to the True Vine Connection family tree. Thank you so much. See you next time.